we might be left with one more preview if I'm right. I'll leave it up to you.
That's exactly right. We're going to preview the much anticipated Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis. I just saw on Twitter before we jumped on that in a recent interview, Sean Strickland said, if DDP talks about my childhood one more time, I'm not just going to punch him like I did last time at the fights. This time I'm going to stab him. So Sean is clearly...
Well, last I checked, they don't allow weaponry. I mean, the weaponry is their legs and their fist. But
that's right.
Unless they've changed the rules, I don't think they allow that.
But Sean did an interview recently with Theo Von where he broke down and got very emotional talking about his troubled childhood, and it's a very, very sad story of the kind of abuse he was subjected to. But Du Plessis
give him credit the way he's turned his life. Give the guy... Listen, a lot of this stuff is... he does is staged because
that's right.
You know, they a lot of the athletes have discovered, or they think they have, right? And they have, Ken, that the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
That's right.
That the more controversial you are, I'd like to see that not happen. I've said it before. Just be good. Just be good, be a decent person, be good. But we don't know that he's not a decent person. I think he is a decent person with his family. But what he's going to show you outside is not decent because they have discovered, or they think they have, that the more controversial you are in these kind of dirty ways, right?
Yep.
The more attention you're going to get, and that's going to equate into more money. That's why they do it. I mean, a lot of them anyway. Some of them, I'm sure that that their personality was already towards that, ahead of time, where they were all already predisposed to be that kind of talker and that kind of, attention getter. I think Conor McGregor's a natural. I do. I think that guy's a natural at that. But he comes from a tough background, and he overcame it, and he made greatness of himself. You got to give him credit. And here's a guy, Strickland. I really love the guy. He comes from an awful background, and look at the success he's made for himself and his family. And yes, he behaves that way. And again, I think a lot of it is connected to putting fannies in the seats, to where they think that they've calculated it from their experience, from what they've been told, what they've witnessed, that it's going to bring more money. And I'd rather the guys to just get in there like the old time fighters. I brought everything I need. This and this, my two hands and my 2 feet in the case of MMA, and that's enough. But I like what he's done with his life. I know some of the things he says, it gets out there, just like some of the things Covington says gets out there. But again, we want to punish these guys in a way where we want to say that's disgraceful, that's this. But meanwhile, we're partly responsible for creating the atmosphere that makes them feel. And Sam's shaking his head, which makes me feel better, because Sam's involved in MMA. Sam Rivera, who does our filming here every week and does a magnificent job. We created that atmosphere where they feel they have to do that. Where they feel that they have to do that barking for their meal, so to speak, to a certain extent. So that's disgusting. That's disgraceful. That's horrendous how the guy went to that place. All right, I'm not arguing that. Sometimes it is. But I'm not arguing that we didn't give a sort of idea to them that stuff would get them to a better place as far as marketing would get them to make more money. So we got to look at it a little bit through the portal of both lenses. Not just the one lens that's easy to look through and say, oh, freaking dirtbag. You know, and maybe some of them are. I don't know. But dirtbag. No. No, dirtbag. No, you were there at the presses. You were there, you know, where you were yelling out stuff that was invoking this too. That you were one of the first people to buy a ticket the first time he became the bad boy. And wanted to witness some of what a bad boy does. So I just want to take a minute to put that in proper perspective. As far as the fight, the breakdown, very interesting fight. Du Plessis might be the next Boogie Aga. He is so big. He is so strong. He is so explosive. He is so devastating. He is that monster truck that runs over the smaller ones. He is that big. He is that physical. And he imposes his physicality on you so far. I met him when I was covering the fight for ESPN where he beat Whitaker to get when he beat Whitaker to get to the spot that he's in right now. And it was a big upset. Everyone thought Whitaker was going to win that fight. At the time, Adesanya and Whitaker were the two best middleweights. I think nobody would argue in the business. And he didn't just beat him. He obliterated Whitaker. And it was really impressive. But here's the reason why I think so much of Du Plessis. Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he's George Foreman strong and all that stuff. But he's smart. If he was just big and strong, I wouldn't be as impressed as I was that night against Whitaker. Because he didn't just beat Whitaker that night only on physicality. He beat him because he mixed his size and his physicality with technique and smarts, with cunning. Again, the cerebralness of what's so important in anything in life and in this sport that I always talk about, that separates the guys. That you got two tough guys, two physical guys, one is smarter, bang. As Customato always said, that guy becomes tougher. That guy becomes better just because he's smarter. And I see those characteristics in Du Plessis. Now, what impressed me about Strickland, he does something that not a lot of people can do. He's not always as physical or as big as some of the other guys, although he is physically strong. And he's not a great puncher. He's not an explosive puncher. But he's solid enough. He's technically solid. He hits you accurate. And he controls moments. He looks at his best. He is doing what they talk about in scoring. Ring generalship. Controlling the ring. Controlling the octagon. He has the ability to make it his fight. Some of the things that the great fighters have, some of their greatest attributes, it's not speed, it's not power, it's not footwork. It's the ability to get the opponent to fight the fight they wanted him to fight. I'll go back in history. Carlos Monzon, not a great human being by any means, but a great, great fighter, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. He was great at controlling range. He was tall, he was long, but he was great at making you fight his fight. Strickland is great when he's at his best of making you cooperate, even if you don't want to cooperate, and fight his fight. And he's great at one other thing. The old timers would always say to me, Teddy, you get these guys, if they're good enough, these special guys that can control a fight, win a fight, control a career with one punch. When it's honed, when it's forged the right way, when it's used the right way, when you have the right mentality behind it, one punch can be used for a career, to win a fight, to win numerous fights, to shut down guys bigger, guys stronger, guys that are relentless. There's one punch that if you learn the art of it, it can be used to do that. And that one punch is a jab. And there's very few people that get to that level, that they can use that one punch the way I just described. Willie Pep was a guy, going back a history lesson again to the 30s, 40s, where Willie Pep, he had 300 pro fights. The Will o' the Wisp from Connecticut. I mean, he would outbox guys. He put on a clinic with the jab, controlling space, negating your power with his jab, navigating around the ring, not allowing you to get into areas that you wanted to get into to use the abilities that you had that might have been greater than his in certain dimensions. He didn't let you do that. And it was all with the jab. The one guy that he couldn't do it with enough was the great Sandy Sadler, who was a beast. He was a freak, how big and strong. But he beat Sadler once. He beat Sadler once in a 15-round fight. He beat the great Sandy Sadler. He out-jabbed him. He outboxed him. He had to. There was no room for error. No margin for error against Sadler. None. Sadler got him 3 other times, but on that one night, he did what the old timers told me. If you have that kind of jab and that kind of mentality to use it, man, you can shut it down. You can shut it down and you can make yourself the man on that night. That's what Strickland has the ability to do. That's what he's going to have to do. If he can't do that, he ain't winning this fight. He's got to make it his fight. He's got to use that one punch, that jab, to lead him to the promised land, to take him to the mountaintop. That one jab. He's got that, and to set up the right hand. You know, as I always say when I commentate or commentated, you know, set the table with the jab, eat with the right hand. That's what he needs to do. Set the table with the jab, eat with the right hand in spots. And don't get greedy. Don't become a Galvone. Don't try, don't try to eat it all up. No, take little bites, like your mother told you, like your grandmother told you. Small bites. Don't be a pig. Don't be a pig, son. Take small bites. I just lock it up with this, Ken. If Whitaker can do that.
Not Whitaker.
Yeah,
Strickland.
I'm sorry.
Strickland.
If Strickland can you do that? If he can shut it down, if he can control for 5 rounds, 5-minute rounds, it ain't easy. If he can control that inner sanctum of that cage with his jab, with his legs, and pick spots for the right hand at the right time, and then tie up the stronger guy on the inside. Don't let him use his strength. Don't let him use that size. If he can do that, he's got a chance to shock the world again. I don't know if it'll be as shocking. He's the champ now. But he shocked the world against Adesanya. Nobody thought it was possible. He made it his fight. He made it not Adesanya's fight. He made it his fight. He needs to make it his fight against this maybe the next Boogie Aga, Mr. Du Plessis.